out seriously for 3 months now since I started the channel. Maybe 4 months. 4 months? I don't know how long you've been. Anyway, so there's two graphs that I'm going to talk about. One is from Fred, right? Fred stands for Federal Reserve Economic Data. These two charts are kind of similar, but one is from Fred, okay? And the other one, this one that I'm going to start with is, we're going to talk about personal saving rates and credit card debt. This chart is completely upside down. So the the kind of lime green one should be the red one. Unfortunately, it's not. This chart goes back to 2015, and the Fred chart, Federal Reserve Economic Data, this is all online, by the way. You guys can literally Google Fred, and it'll take you to St. Louis Fed's website where they release all these graphs. This one goes back to 1985, okay? 40 years, okay? So this is about personal savings in the US versus credit card debt. Okay. Let's look at the pictures worth 1,000 words. Let's stay with that. Let's look at it. There's a red line here, or whatever color you guys want to call it, or whatever you're seeing on your screen at the moment. That's total credit card debt, okay? Meaning revolving credit, credit cards, basically, like the ones you have your B of A or Chase or whatever, okay? Look at that graph. Now, if that was a stock, I would go, beautiful. Lower left to upper right, 45-degree angle, wonderful. Except it's not. It's credit card debt. So since we just got rid of the gold standard in the 70s, right, and started borrowing money, and banks were flushed with cash, right, and we started printing. How do banks make money? They issue you credit. And who doesn't like credit? I like credit, but to a point that I don't abuse it. Well, this graph shows it's being abused completely. And now there are reasons for that, why that is. Because the other thing is, our economy has become, our GDP, 80% of it depends on consumer spending. It's not a manufacturing economy like it used to be 40, 50 years ago. So consumer spending is 80% of our GDP. Think about this. In what world? So if the consumer doesn't spend, and we all know, if we were to spend with the paychecks that we received, only use debit cards, this economy would collapse. None of that would happen. None of this would happen, right? The economy wouldn't be a $27 trillion GDP. So they issue the credit. It's like a drug. It's like crack, right? And then you keep your credit okay for a little bit. What they do? Other banks come around because they do a soft check on your credit score. They go, oh, this guy is credit worthy. Let me give him a credit card. Oh, and then B of A comes around. They go like, oh, let me give him a credit card. And what happens? Pretty soon, in your wallet, you have 10 credit cards with 10 different banks, American Express, all this stuff, right? With increasing credit lines. All right, well, that's crack. That's crack being pushed to you, okay? And so what do? Well, you start spending beyond your means now. Now, I'm not saying credit is bad. Credit is wonderful. Having a good credit score is amazing. Having the capacity or capability of buying something for your family, for your wife, a vacation or whatever is wonderful. But you guys have to understand, these credit cards don't come, well, some of them do initially, with smart people actually can shuffle around with zero interest rate, credit card offers. They do the musical chairs until they get stuck. Once they get stuck, then what happens? This happens. Now you have 5,000 on one credit card. You have 10,000 on another credit card. You have 3,000 on another one. Well, obviously you did not pay your balances. And what's the interest rate on those credit cards, people? When they start charging you interest? Because that's where they want to get you. They want to get you hooked on crack, okay? And then it's like, let's not talk about crack. That's bad. Let's talk about printers, okay? They sell you the printer at what? $79? Full color printer, $100, right? But where did they get you? When you run out of color ink or black ink, you have to go buy that cartridge. Well, that cartridge is more as expensive as you paid for the printer. See what's happening here? It's the same thing with a credit card. Well, what they want to do is they want to get you, okay, yeah, 0 interest for 6 months, 0 interest for a year, and then those offers end. And then if you can't shuffle anymore, your wallet is full of credit cards. And now you start carrying balances, and now you start paying 30, 40, 50% interest on these credit cards. Now you are dead man because your monthly income is not keeping pace with what you're buying out there, right? But we love buying stuff. We love buying garbage we don't need. And that's all we do. We buy. I'm like, stop. Use credit to your advantage. If you're going to use credit cards, okay, pay your balance at the end of the month. Actually, credit is wonderful, amazing. Somebody is giving you the opportunity to float their money. As opposed to them floating your money, you float their money, okay? How does that work? You buy something on a credit card, piece of plastic, okay? If you pay that balance within 30 days, you just bought something and floated their money for 30 days. After that, do it again. But make sure you pay your credit card balances. Don't carry balances, because the second you start carrying balances, that's the second part of the addiction. You go, yeah, I'll just make minimum payments. It will take you a lifetime. It will take you forever. And ultimately, your default, and then your beautiful 800, 750 credit with 10 credit cards in your wallet goes to nothing. And, you'll have judgments, right? Let's not play that game. Let's be smart about this. Let's float their money as opposed to our money. Meaning, don't buy shit you don't need. And don't extend yourself. So now the red line, as we see, goes back to 2015, right? Credit cards were fine, all that good stuff. From 2015 to 2000, let's say 1920, obviously, a steady upline, right? Because banks are issuing credit, interest rates are 0, they're making their 30%, wonderful. And then what happened? Black swan event, pandemic hit. And during the pandemic, what happened? Look at the correlation between the jagged, right, green or whatever, lime green one versus the red one. What happened? So government printed $7 trillion or plus and sent money to everyone. During that time, what do? We did the right thing. Our saving rates went through the roof, okay? And our credit card debt went the right way because we paid off our car loans with the money government sent us. We paid off our mortgages. We upgraded our homes, all that good stuff. Okay? All right. Then look at right towards the end of 2020, 2021. After the second spike there where the savings rates went up, economy started opening up. Just like a crack addict, I'm going to say crack, screw it, or methamphetamine addict, what do? After 2 years of doing the right thing, we go right back to what? Being an addict. And here it is. Now you're looking all the way to the right of it, right? We started spending shit on plastic on stuff that we don't need. And look where we are today. Now, this is on the cusp of the economy going in a recession. I will talk about this quite a bit going forward because I definitely think we're going in a recession now, even if they cut the rates. But look what happened. Let's talk about the savings rate versus the credit card debt. They should be replaced. They should be switching spots. It's not though. So now savings rate is at an all-time low. So what are we going to do? We're going to depend on another black swan event so the government can send us another $10 trillion. Is that what we're doing here? People, please don't do this. Give your kids advice. Don't do this, because this is not a way to go. Look at the red line. It's through the chart. We're at $1.3 trillion in credit card debt, and our savings rate is literally nothing. You all know that the married couple in the age of 30, both working, have like less than $500 in savings. They have no rainy day fund. Okay, so this is the second chart that follows. This goes back to 1985. Okay, so since the blue line and the red line on this one, this is from Fed, the Federal Reserve. Since we abandoned manufacturing in this country, everything got shipped overseas for manufacturing, right? We know what how that happened. We became a service economy. Look at the blue line. The blue line is personal savings rate. It's kind of steady. It's going like between 0 and 8. There are times that we really spend a lot. And if you guys can see, the correlation is when the savings rate is really low, the credit card, and this is the credit card, by the way. The other one was the total outstanding credit, revolving credit. This is the interest payments on the credit. I talked about that on an amazing video last week about the US government's habit of having $35 trillion in debt. And their cost of servicing that debt is up to $1.2 trillion. And we are pretty much following the federal government. Do not follow the federal government. They're a bunch of idiots. They don't know what's going on. But look at this. This is the interest cost. Why did that spike right at the end? Well, the Fed raised the rates from 0 to 5%. And on all your credit cards, the carried balance went from 25% to 45%. Banks are now dummies, right? And this chart basically mirrors the other one, but it just goes back a little bit further. So this is what the US economy depends on. Now, if we go in a recession, what's going to happen? A lot of credit is going to get blown off. It's already happening, right? People are going to not pay their credit cards. Well, the charge-offs are coming up now. And the spending power is going to be less, right? So tough times ahead. I know what to do. Come over here, listen to me. We'll trade the markets. We'll short the shit out of the markets, and then we'll figure it out. But this red line and the blue line should be reversed, should be switched. Please, people, I'm not telling you not to have credit, not to use credit. Credit is wonderful. It's the oil of the engine, right? If you're a successful business owner, definitely use credit, but don't extend credit to the point that you're carrying balances, you're facing this. This is just the interest payment. And our saving rates are low. Okay, let's say you're doing one of these crazy things and you get laid off now during this recession, which are coming. What are you going to do? Now you just blew your credit that you worked on for 10 years, right? You may lose your house, but you definitely lose those credit cards. They're going to shut the credit down. And they're going to, keep charging interest on that. And obviously, you're not going to pay. The charge-offs are going to happen. You're going to get calls from collection agents. Let's not do this. We played this game before. I mean, let's not do this, okay? So that's that. A little advice. Please go talk to your friends, family. If you know people like this, let's just slap them in the head and go, wake up. Go watch this guy.